Edico was established in 2005 on the principle of being a fair trade garment supplier. Our company is well established as an importer of quality clothing that has been sourced from offshore companies that provide a commitment to the following ethical framework. The company makes a stand against the main driver of violations of labour health rights, namely poverty and pressure for lower prices. We'll only do business with factories that can demonstrate they are upholding labour rights via independent third-party audits, and we are evangelistic in our mission to educate the industry on the importance of delivering equity throughout the entire supply chain. To date, the company sales have primarily been focused on the Australian market. Edico is a global company in the sense that we source our production and materials offshore. However, the time has come to explore the possibilities of expanding our sales globally. So to evaluate the potential advantages and disadvantages of a global sales expansion, we are endeavouring to build an international business model that will guide us through the process of determining the potential opportunities and pitfalls that may be encountered in the course of our adventure. The business model will help us to identify Edico's mission and goal, analyse the internal and external environment we will be operating in. We will formulate objectives of the overall plan, including the market entry analysis, defining a competitive business approach, and exploring investment opportunities and how we approach the new market. But we will also make an implementation plan and look at the impact on our key business functions and operations. This process will be subject to ongoing evaluation and control of the operations. Each of these points will be explored in more depth during the presentation. However, before we embark on an international business model, it's prudent for us to consider a going global assessment. So what are the benefits for Edico? When will the company see the benefits of the globalization on the bottom line? This is going to be a risky adventure, and we need to have a clear picture of when we will be rewarded and how big that reward will be. And is there any evidence of companies that are heading down the same path that have been financially profitable? Do we have the management skills that will be needed? We're a small firm and we need to assess whether we have skills and whether we have these skills and to realise the benefit of going global. Once we have identified the skills, we need to then ask, do we have them within our team, and how do we grow this skills capability and acquire the ones that we don't have? And finally, will the cost outweigh the benefit? In terms of management time and the business process, what would the cost for us to be able to maximise the benefits of our international business model? Can we get the team on board? Can we have the skeptics within our team come on board with us? And what is the impact of going global in our domestic business? And finally, is there another alternative that we can focus our resources into that may be a better option than going global? By setting a clear mission and goals, Edico will clearly determine the direction in which it wants its global expansion to go. Understanding the internal predisposition the company is to adopt will help inform the mission and goal setting process. There are 4 such predispositions: ethnocentric, polycentric, regiocentric, and geocentric. Each disposition determines the specific direction and decisions the company will implement. Given the fair trade focus that Edico is founded on, the aim will be to have a geocentric internal predisposition. This strategy will produce global products with local variations. We will staff our offices with the best people we can find. We will be globally integrated but nationally responsive. And our governance will be mutually negotiated at all levels of the organisation. To determine Edico's mission, the 2 following questions need to be answered. Firstly, what is Edico's business? And Edico is a clothing company that produces mid-range casual garments and accessories. And secondly, what is Edico's reason for existence? Edico's tagline is "Wear no evil." Its mission is to provide quality clothing to the first world countries, but not at the expense of all those people and countries in the supply chain. And what's our goals? Well, our mission informs the decision-making process on all levels of Edico's objectives and operations. We are very concerned about the operating environment, physical and social factors, political policies, cultural, economic, and geographical influences. Our objectives inform our operations. So our goals are to increase revenue through global sales, become a worldwide fair trade brand, trusted fair trade brand, and whilst ensuring that everyone involved in the business is receiving fair and equitable treatment. It's time to consider the internal and external environment that Edico will encounter in a global market. The internal environment. Being established as an importer and retailer in the Australian market for 10 years, we have a well-established sales force administration and operation, marketing management, advertising and promotion, operations, and inbound, outbound logistics. These primary activities of a value chain have been tested and proven in the Australian market over years of operation. However, to become a geocentric multinational company, we'll need to adapt these activities to the market we're entering. We believe that an opportunity lies in developed countries where there is a growing concern regarding ethically produced products. For example, if we're going to adapt to the American market, we'll need to tailor our sales techniques, advertising messages, and marketing strategies so we have an approach that resonates with the local culture. Our secondary processes such as infrastructure, HR management, and procurement will need to be adapted to take into account local laws, regulations, and cultural norms. The external assessment, we have used the Porter's 5 Forces framework. So we're entering a new market. It is costly and difficult for new entrants, and Edico will need to budget for brand and trust building. Regarding our suppliers, Edico has been building strong relationships with suppliers who are maintaining their ethos of wear no evil. Product and technology development, Edico is seeking to differentiation as a truly fair trade and ethically sourced clothing line. And the buyer power, Edico is tapping into the social conscious buyer and has no problems paying a little more for their products. They will be quite a considerable buying force with considerable power in the future. And also there is a now growing trend for these type of products. Eco-friendly, ethical products are starting to become a trend with a number of rivals entering the market. Edico just needs to get ahead of the pack and really set the trend in these products. Market entry analysis. When considering a new market to enter, we must take into account many factors. Political factors, foreign exchange movements, religious and cultural differences, for example. When exploring future market opportunities, the following 4 characteristics should be explored. The market size. Computing local production minus exports plus imports provides a sense of the potential size of the foreign market. With 300 million people and a considerable middle to upper class income demographic, the United States of America is definitely a good-sized market. Market growth. This considers market attractiveness by looking at the market size measured over a number of years and computing the year-by-year growth rate. Competitive intensity. This is measured by looking at the numbers of competitors in the market, size of the distribution of market share. At this point, the market is relatively new for ethical and fair trade in clothing, and also there is potential for real growth. Trade barriers, transportation costs, taxes, duties, tariffs, foreign currency movements can be ascertained from official government publications. The current political situation in America with the Trump government has caused great uncertainty regarding tariffs and exchange rates. The 4 stages of market screening. Stage 1, country identification. Utilise World Economic Social data from the UN and the World Bank to create a short list of countries that can be targeted. Stage 2, preliminary screening. Narrow the list down using syndicated reports from third parties. In-depth screening. Assess your own internal capabilities and see if we can meet the demands of the market as well as of the trade associations, unions and government agencies. Stage 4, final selection. This is where all stakeholders get involved: contractors, key contacts, human resources, finance. This stage requires intuition, practical relationship building, and personal visits to the country under explanation. You need to develop financial analysis, forecasts, and forecasts of revenue with sophisticated, weighted criteria will need to be employed. By utilising the Porter diamond, we can perform a competitive assessment of the country we are proposing to market to. Porter identifies 6 key variabilities that could give the country advantage over others. There's demand conditions. This represents the country's demand for the product or service. Factor conditions, the abundance of labour, transport, natural resources and infrastructure. Firm strategies, how companies are created, managed and organised and the extent of domestic rivalry. Supported and related industries, how good are the supply industries and supporting business services in that nation. Government policies, what is the regulatory environment, state intervention and support for training and education. And finally, chance, the element of uncertainty. There are also 4 strategies when competing in the international environment. There's a global strategy, transnational strategy, international strategy, and a multi-domestic strategy. The strategy best suited to Edico is a multi-domestic strategy. This strategy is suitable due to the fact that it is best for firms that face low pressure in terms of competitiveness, but higher pressure in terms of local responsiveness. It's particularly suitable for establishing independent subsidiaries, such as a franchise operations that are local and responsive to local demand. If Edico is to expand sales globally, we'll need to decide how we will approach foreign direct investment. There are 6 options to consider. They are listed in order of degree of control and ownership and impact on cost competitive pressures, with the first being the lowest in both categories. Exporting, licensing, franchising, strategic alliances, joint ventures, and wholly owned subsidiaries. Initially, Edico will enter the foreign market via exporting through direct sales from their website. Market building, brand recognition, and trialling of messaging will be performed during this stage. Market research will be gathered through this initial entry into the market, and it will be valuable in deciding where our escalation of foreign investment will be made. We have a demonstrated history of being able to work with offshore manufacturers where fair trade and ethical workplaces are regularly monitored and improved. The input side of the business is well established. Regarding our foreign direct investment, in the output side of the business, we're leaning towards a franchising model. This model, the advantages of this model mean that we can utilise local knowledge in the development of relevant products for the new market, and also gives us greater control over the operations of the business by providing franchisees with a turnkey business that they can operate. Although we'll be giving away some of the margins and control with the franchising model. This second phase allows Edico to get fully established in the market whilst researching and developing the third stage of becoming a wholly owned subsidiary. Through the process of strategic international business management, Edico needs to duplicate its cross-functional integration and coordination of capabilities in marketing, offshore processing and sourcing, ethical treatment of everyone in the supply chain, as well as human resource management capabilities. Being a small firm, cross-functional integration has been the hallmark of how the Australian operation has grown. This in turn has built the company's core competency of producing good quality garments and accessories in a strongly ethical and fair trade manner, and has promoted Edico into the market leader in this niche. To facilitate global expansion, the Australian office will need to recruit a team of qualified people to oversee human resources, logistics, operations, ICT, financial strategies, and branding, research, design, and innovation. The research, design, and innovation part of the business will be crucial to global success. International cooperation between design teams, offshore manufacturers, marketing, and branding specialists within the business will allow the company to produce unique, cutting-edge, marketing desirable garments and accessories that will be manufactured out of new and sustainable materials and produced by workers that are being recompensed fairly. Edigo has been operating in Australia for 10 years. The endeavour to ethically source quality fashion that is priced at a price where the socially conscious purchaser is happy to buy has been an ongoing challenge. In seeking global expansion, initially through exporting, then franchising, and then finally stage 3, setting up wholly owned subsidiaries, Edico is endeavouring to maximise the economy of scale that allows it to be sensitive to local purchasing demands as well as multiplying benefits of fair trade to the supply side of the business chain. Each of these 3 stages will be used as preparation ground for research and development in the next stage. The international business model that we'll be designing is to facilitate this growth has an inbuilt evaluation and control process that will allow the business to pivot and to respond to future challenges as they arise. The international business model will also help avoid some of the traps in global expansion, including following the leader, the international arms race, and doing everything ourselves. So according to the plan, the first place we'll start on the road to globalization is to explore exporting via our website, and that'll be the company's task for the next 12 months.